Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me to this incredible gathering this evening. Thank you for having this event in Worcester, the heart of the state of Massachusetts, this great city that Mayor Petty has been running, and it is vibrant to just walk the streets of Worcester with his leadership. We actually have the Worcester Red Sox that are coming here, and now children growing up in Worcester can decide whether or not they want to play baseball for the Red Sox or become a doctor, like so many people who come here from Muslim backgrounds. And so I now am very proud to say that it's an option that you will have here in Worcester. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for inviting me here today. The theme of this conference is healing humanity. And that means all religions coming together, working together in order to ensure that all of humanity is brought together. And I might add that on my staff, I actually have 2 Pakistani Americans. I have the daughter, Sabrina, of Shahid Khan. Stand up, Shahid. His daughter is on my staff in Washington. And I have another young man who actually went to MIT, and he was MIT's candidate to be the Rhodes Scholar from MIT. And then Omar is on my staff down there with Sabrina in Washington. Just so fortunate to have them on my staff and helping to guide me and to give me advice. Here is what I know as I stand here today. What unites us all is that our faith tells us that we are responsible for one another, that we care for the sick, the elderly, our youth, our neighbors, our incarcerated. Our faith requires us to remind ourselves each and every day, I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. And that to whom much is given, much is required. We know that to be our brother's keeper, to be our sister's keeper, we must make sure that our actions reflect the words we hear in our houses of worship. Faith is an asset. Our mosques, our churches, our synagogues, these are the places where we find the strength that we need each and every day. Our houses of worship are where we learn that there is good in all of us, and that we must choose right over wrong and light over darkness. And I assure you in 2020, the darkness will come to an end in the United States of America. Because in this country, we know what our values are. So many of us here today, we recognize that right now we are in an epic struggle for the very heart of our sacred democracy. A Muslim ban that is explicitly designed to keep men and women and children out of this country because of the religion that they believe in. And let's take a moment to think about what exactly a Muslim ban means. It means that entire populations of countries are singled out and deemed to be dangerous by our own government simply because of the religion which they practice, which you practice. Translated, Muslim, Islam means peace. And in this country, we cannot allow that discriminatory and hateful view of a specific religion to become the new normal. This country is home to millions of Muslims who are kind and caring. They own shops and businesses. They serve on parent-teacher organizations at their children's schools. They volunteer to help those in need. And they do this knowing that one of the pillars of Islam is charity, caring for those who need assistance. Islam, Judaism, Christianity, they are all born from Abraham. They share the same common origin story. And they all hold peace and kindness to be central to their faith. Right now, we could use more peace and kindness in this country. We could stand to heal the spiritual wounds that this administration has inflicted. Families separated at the border, children put in cages, unconscionable, unheard of, and unmistakable cruelty. Punishing people who are escaping violence and hunger and poverty in the hopes of giving their children a chance for a better life in the United States. No one crosses the border or leaves their country of origin to take away American jobs, as this administration is alleging. They risk their lives and leave everything they know, loved ones, their homes, their traditions behind. They do this because of war, or famine, or disease, or religious persecution. And at a certain point, we have to ask ourselves, why aren't we, Americans, better than this? And at a certain point, we have to ensure that we ask ourselves, why isn't this president embracing the words written by Emma Lazarus on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty? Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Since January 21st, 2017, Donald Trump has made it his mission to divide our great nation. And he is doing so to his evil benefit. Donald Trump doesn't want to make America great again. Donald Trump wants to make America hate again. That is his agenda. And Donald Trump knows, and his allies know, that words matter, that hateful rhetoric has a direct correlation in violence. Hearing repeatedly on the news, social media, on TV, government leaders espousing poisonous talking points about certain races and religion, it translates into acts of hatred and senseless tragedy. Words matter because they can inspire disturbing actions in people. Words turn into action. Words give permission to take actions that are hateful. Mosques covered in hateful graffiti, designed to intimidate the faithful and bring fear to a religious community. Threats of violence against houses of worship and loss. We all watched in horror this past March as a man in Christchurch, New Zealand, walked into 2 different mosques and opened fire during prayer. He took the lives of 51 people that day. The terrorist attack in Christchurch was horrific, and it was heartbreaking. The best way we can honor those whose lives were cut short is to recognize the pernicious spread of white supremacist ideology and work proactively to address the threat worldwide. While we can never fully understand what makes a human being capable of committing such a monstrous act, we have seen this fact pattern before. This story will sound familiar. Someone who was inspired through online forums, social media, and prominent figures who publicly call for violence against certain religious groups or particular races. We saw this at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. We saw it in this past summer in El Paso. And in Dayton, we witnessed hate. And we were confronted with the simple fact, again, that words matter. Hate does not come naturally to us. It is developed and learned. Children have to be taught to hate. Children have to learn from someone older who to hate, or to hate at all. And when the president of our country says no more mosques, no more Muslims, no more immigrants that come to our country, those are words that are heard. And those are the words that ultimately can create hatred in the heart of people in our country. So we have to learn how to move forward with courage and determination in the face of fear. We know this administration wants to divide this country. Donald Trump and his allies want us fighting each other so that we're not focused on fighting them and fighting him. But that's where the real fight is. Fighting the hate, fighting the division, fighting the greed, and that's where we will win. Because through our faith, we are better equipped to be empathetic to our fellow man and to choose love over hate and bravery over fear, because what unites us is so much greater than what divides us. There is no doubt that these are troubled times, but the human spirit is powerful, it is strong, and it will not be broken by a corrupt administration and a corrupt president. And our race, our traditions, our religion, these are things that make us stronger. We know that you do not make America great again by tearing people down. You make America great again by lifting people up so they can maximize their God-given abilities. America has always been stronger when we have embraced diversity, when we have to say to ourselves, we are better than this. We have come together to rise above hate. We join in our collective call to say no to believing that your religion or where you come from is a reason to be discriminated against or punished. So what are the steps we can take to heal? That is what the subject of this is about here today. To remember, ultimately, our humanity is the answer. When in times like these, it can be hard to imagine a better future. We know that as religious leaders, worshipers, as advocates, we cannot agonize, we must organize against these hateful people. We must organize every single day to let them know that on every one of these issues, there's one thing that separates them from us. We are right and they are wrong. And we will not allow their ideology to be successful. So let us join our voices and be loud and clear. Enough is enough. Hate has no place here. Let us dedicate ourselves to the 2020 election, because that is when we can make real, systemic change in the United States of America. And our greatest asset is going to the polls and casting our votes, making sure that our friends, our family, our fellow religious believers are registered, and that on November 3rd, 2020, that we show up and defeat Donald Trump and make him a footnote in history, so the Muslim ban is gone, that we put out the welcome mat for immigrants to come into our country. That is what we must do. We must practice what we preach. Vote for candidates who will work to end income inequality and to make the rich richer and concentrates the gains in the hands of a few. I know that I have been the beneficiary of the American dream. My father drove a truck for the Hood Milk Company, delivering milk door to door. There was a time, young people, when milk used to go to your house instead of to a supermarket. And Amazon might bring that back. But for my father, that's what he did for a living. And he grew up on the first floor of a triple-decker in South Lawrence. And my father's son is a United States Senator from the state of Massachusetts. That is what America should be all about. My mother was one of 5 sisters. And my grandmother and grandfather were immigrants to the United States with 5 daughters. And my grandmother died when my mother was only 17. So the oldest sister had to go to work, and my mother had to raise the younger 3 sisters, even though she was going to be president of the senior class in her senior year in high school. That was the system. One of the girls would just stay home. Even though when she finally had me at age 38 or 39, and then my twin brothers, 3 boys all born in 1 year, after she married my father, who drove the truck for the Hood Mill Company, my mother could do calculus and trigonometry for fun at the kitchen table, even though she never had it. The math gene runs through the female side of our family, not to the boys. But I realized how fortunate we were to have such a mother and father, such hard-working people who struggled through the obstacles that were put in front of them. And when I went to college, I was the first person in my family to go to college. When I went to law school, the first law professor who walked into a classroom is the first lawyer I ever saw. When I got elected to Congress, it was my first visit to Washington in my whole life. When I got elected to the United States Congress, when I ran at 29 and was sworn in at age 30 as a member of the United States Congress.
Wow.
I drove an ice cream truck to work my way through college. I had to drive an ice cream truck every single day to earn money to go through college. That's what your community represents in the 21st century. This same promise of hard work, of a vision for the next generation of your families, to be able to maximize their God-given abilities through breaking down barriers of access to education and healthcare and civil rights obstacles that can be created within our society. That is what you all represent. Because at the end of the day, we must hold tight to the knowledge that people are good at heart, that education is the true meaning of Islam, will help inform those who fear an entire religion simply because they do not understand it, and that new programs and social media sites must be held accountable for allowing hateful and harmful content to inspire acts of violence against those who are working hard and trying to get the highest level of education for their families. And that politicians who buy into this hateful rhetoric and promote it should face the consequences of their actions at the ballot box. Despite times where it feels as though we have lost our way, the United States is still the freest country on earth. It is still the country that was founded upon freedom of religion. It is still the country that knows that immigrants contribute to our success. They do not inhibit it. When we recognize that within all of us the power to heal exists, the power to reach out and extend a hand through a simple gesture of kindness to begin to rebuild. Because we are not defeated. We are stronger together. Faith, spirit, hope. These are the cures for social injustice in the United States. These are the prescriptions for mending our souls. Our humanity is directly tied to our religious beliefs. That is what makes us stronger. The religious belief which the Muslim community has is what has made America a stronger community. Grassroots organizations like this are critical to ending tensions, religious discrimination, and strengthening our communities. The work of the Islamic Circle is valuable, it is honorable, and it could not be more necessary than it is today in the United States of America. We will heal by espousing tolerance. We will reclaim our collective humanity by believing in the values we have learned through prayer in our religious communities. And this chapter in American history will serve as a lesson. Hate is no match for faith. Hate is no match for faith. And anger is no substitute for understanding. Anger is no substitute for understanding other people like you. So once again, I thank you for having me this evening at this important event during this critical time. They are the prescriptions for mending our souls. And we have a chance to ensure that in the future, Donald Trump will actually have become somebody who did not divide our country, but who united us in a way that we had never been united before, defending the core values, the core principles of what our founding fathers stand for, and the Muslim community and what you stand for is at the heart of what the United States of America is all about. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Thank you all so much for what you do to make the United States of America such a
ITV, Call of Peace, Save Humanity.